Okay, let's see if this works. What's up, Misfits and Moonbasers? It's your boy Ray Recall once again, and today we're coming at you with another review. This time, it is the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron 35th Anniversary Bluestreak. So, yeah, this is the exclusive or special edition version of the Prowl mold for the Transformers Siege line. And I haven't messed with the Prowl mold yet myself. I did have Barricade for like 2 seconds, then I gave him to a friend of mine, John Castle. I think he's a member of Moonbase 1, so represent. But yeah, so I haven't actually had my hands on the actual Prowl mold yet, but it is pretty interesting. I'm glad I got Bluestreak because the straight Prowl version just didn't appeal to me at all because Prowl's, well, one, Prowl is a jerk, and two, the color scheme just didn't really. That's something I found. We'll get into that in just a second. The mold wasn't really appealing in Prowl's colors, but it just kind of pops with Bluestreak. So he does come with weapons. Laser rifle looking thing. And then these two other laser rifle looking things. I would tell you the technical name for them because, you know, Siege always has technical names. Unfortunately, the instructions have the names in Moonspeak. So, since I cannot be bothered to, you know, Google, just gotta work with what we got. So, then the weapons can do a few cool things, like these two smaller guns can tab together to form a little laser, a double barrel laser rifle, which, you know, you can hold. Other gun plugs in there. Shooty, shooty, bang, bang, pew, pew. You can also take the smaller rifle, or like laser pistol, whatever the bleep you want to call it, and shove it into the top of the other gun. So, triple barrel gun. Or if you want the full G1 aesthetic, take them apart, and if you notice the top of the roof or the top of the shoulder section has little tabs that, oh yeah, you can also have them hold these individually using those tabs, but they can tab into his shoulders, giving him the traditional over-the-shoulder look. So, yeah. There you go. So, yeah, he's pretty good. Articulation. Head is on a ball joint. Head is on a ball joint. It can do a full 360. Exorcist can look up about that far, look down that far, a little side to side. If you move the door wings out of the way, arms can do a full 360, can go in and out. Bicep rotation, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, and a wrist rotation. That is on a mushroom peg, but it can do a full 360. Waist swivel at the waist. Legs can go forward about that far. Back about that far. Full Jean-Claude Van Damme. You have due to transformation, you have a super deep knee bend. A bit of an ankle pivot right here. Pretty deep ankle pivot, actually. And then if you look, due to transformation, you do get some toe tiltage. So, there you go with that. Oh, I also forgot to mention in my Siege Ratchet reviews is that, you know, these guys are loaded up with the combat system. So, got port here, port here, port here, yeah, port here, bottom of the feet, port on the back. So, you can load these guys up with weapons and whatnot. So, and as a quick comparison, here he is with a certain Voyager Prime of a certain hue. So and we'll get to him in a little bit. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for robot mode. The knees on mine are a little bit loose, which is kind of a shame because everything else is really tight on this guy. Even the waist joint, neck ball joint, so the knees are really loose. Doesn't really have a problem standing because the base of his foot is so wide. But you do kind of have to balance him, otherwise he'll just kind of. Okay, maybe. Okay, yeah, there we go. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The rest of his joints are like rock solid. So. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into transformation. So it'll begin. Just have him T-pose for dominance. Rotate it so that these combat ports are facing forward. Yeah. Then take this whole hood front hood section, untabs, and then goes up and over and back like so. And man, this guy is skinny. Oh, and then when going back to robot mode, make sure that there are two posts right here, and they go into these 2 ports right here. But that's for going back into robot mode. Let's see. Take this panel that was flipped up, flip it back. Let's see. Take the chest piece, just tap it in. What next? Take the heel spurs, flatten them down so that they're flush, and then take it so that if you look here, there's a tab and a slot. You want to take it until it just softly tabs in. Let's see, rotate them at the waist assembly, and then take the whole thing, and from the looks of it, collapse it back into the body. And then if you look down here, you can see that there's a peg and a slot. You're going to want to just kind of gently click them together. And then, yeah. And then you want to take the legs and accordion them up. You do want to kind of have to leave this up a little bit just so you get the clearance. There we go. I really should have had that step, those steps reversed order. And so if you look here, it specifically says in the instructions you want this all flush. Bring in the doors, and for the doors there are post, and a port, and a port. So those just close up. And that'll also tell you if you got everything flush as well. And then bring the arms assemblies forward. Do I have this right? Oh, okay. So for the chest piece, you want to make sure it's folded all the way in. And bring the arms forward, like so. And that'll give you the clearance for those arms. And then fold them down into the body. A little bit of visible head syndrome, but whenever you're transforming them, just rotate the head 180 in there, and he won't be driving his face along the ground. So, and are we done? I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. So this is Bluestreak in his vehicle mode. One thing that I noticed about this figure is that he has none of the siege battle damage effect, like a lot of siege figures have been having, or in some instances not having. Yeah, it seems like they just can't decide whether or not they want to have the battle damage. Like I know Prowl didn't have the battle damage, Refractor didn't, and yet, you know, stuff like Flywheels, he only had like a little bit on his feet or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I prefer it without the battle damage, especially whenever the vehicle mode looks this fresh and clean. A little bit of techno detail back there. And aside, it's got a very smooth undercarriage. You can't really tell any kibble unless you're looking at it directly from below. But yeah, and then what you can do, as per the instructions, you take the weapon, the big gun, place it right there, and then you take the two smaller weapons, and those just tab into the little spots on the hood, and then you just have kind of Mad Max mode going on, which is pretty awesome. The weapons don't have anywhere, unfortunately, because it's so compact and everything. The weapons don't really have anywhere to store in vehicle mode except for just blazingly out in the open. But you know, it's fine. It's fine. Looks clean. One thing that I noticed is that another thing I noticed is that because, you know, for the prowl and the barricade, the little light bar, that's a separate piece. So other than normally that would tab into the top. So without that light bar, or with that light bar there would be no combat ports on the actual vehicle mode, which really works nicely because this is such a very smooth, very clean looking vehicle mode. The combat ports, the one just blatantly on top, you know, if there was a light bar in there, and this for the cop modes or for the cop cars, this would work really well. Almost as like a classics design, or like a few, like, I mean, I've seen some European cars that look like this. You know, it's not necessarily that Cybertronian. I mean, despite the fact that, you know, there's no actual way to get in the thing, but it looks very clean. It doesn't break. It doesn't have a toyetic effect. It makes it look almost display model like, which is something that a lot of Transformers figures don't really have. So I really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and put the weapons back in there. But yeah, so I guess that's pretty much does it for Bluestreak. I picked this up at Walmart. It is a Walmart exclusive. Man, these last two videos have been exclusives. Yeah, it's is it worth the price of admission? I would say yes. I would say yes. I do much prefer it to the Prowl colors, simply because, as I said before, Prowl. Okay, ignoring the fact that Prowl's a jerk, I do prefer Bluestreak's color scheme for this mold as opposed to Prowl. Prowl just made it seem too literally black and white. It was just very bland and not very eye-catching. Barricade did a little bit better job of it than Prowl did, but it still didn't really work for me. So, yeah. How do I get this over? Trying to put you back in robot mode. Come on. There we go. There's a little bit of clearance issue for getting it into robot mode, but it is doable. Come on. There we go. There we go. Okay. And fold them back down. So, yeah, that's been Bluestreak. Once again, I will reiterate the giveaway that I'm doing. So for every person that leaves a comment on this or any of my videos for the whole month of November 2019, I am going to be giving away mint in box Siege Ratchet figure. And the way to enter into that giveaway, you know, just leave a comment on one of my videos. Definitely subscribe. That'll help your chances, but that isn't a requirement. But yeah, leave a comment, you know, any constructive criticism, you know, do you have any problems with your version of the mold? Do you agree with what did you agree with my synopsis? Did you disagree with it? Oh, that's neat. So Bluestreak's little shoulder combat ports, if you don't like them situated on the top, you can switch them so that they're sideways, like most of the other figures. Neato. and it doesn't affect transformation because the shoulders will still get out of the way. But yeah, and so just leave a comment in the comment section, and I will determine a winner 1st of December. I'll pick somebody at random, so the more comments that I have in my videos, the more likely that you will be eligible for a Siege Ratchet figure. So this has been Ray Recall, once again reviewing the Transformers Siege Deluxe Bluestreak, the 35th anniversary edition. And yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.